News Desk at the Columbus Dispatch presents the BuckeyeXtra Basketball Podcast.
With your host, Ohio State basketball beat writer Adam Jardy.
Brady Batista, give me the rock. Here it goes. Up and away. Slam jam bam. And now he does a little dance.
Now, the BuckeyeXtra Basketball Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch. Today is Wednesday, August 20th, 2025, and it's my official duty to welcome you into episode 491 of the BuckeyeXtra Men's Basketball Podcast. Welcome to Jubilation City. Welcome to the Jardy House. I'm here on a Wednesday morning, kind of overcast outside, looking out my back window, and hoping this might mean it'll cool down a little bit. It's been a little brutal around here these days, and fall baseball feels like just straight out of summer baseball. But I got a couple things here to talk about. I had a couple of news stories go up early this week, and I had mentioned on the last podcast that I wanted to do something early in the week because I would have a couple of stories that I wanted to talk about, and both of them published earlier this week, one on Monday and one on Tuesday. So we're going to get into what I wrote and what I learned about John Mobley Jr., as well as Marcus Johnson here in just a moment. It's also the end of the summer for the basketball team. So as I've talked about on here, the Buckeyes took 2 weeks off, and then everybody returned to campus at the beginning of this week for what is the final week of summer workouts, which will then lead right into the start of the fall. Classes start at Ohio State next week. And it's back to school for everybody. It's kind of wild. I don't know, maybe just because it's so hot, I don't feel like we're verging on fall. It's still weird to me I'm already seeing Halloween stuff at the stores, and I'm not there yet. Maybe in September, I'm not there yet, but fall is starting as far as Ohio State's class schedule goes next week. So the Buckeyes are all back together. That means all 14 players on the roster are with the team. That includes Matthew Grujic, who still can't practice with the team, but will be able to start doing so once the Buckeyes begin the next semester. So once they get through this week, he'll be a full active participant because he'll be officially enrolled and he'll be going through classes and all those things. So he is one of the 14 that's on campus and getting ready, but not formally practicing with the team. And when I say on campus, I should say Ohio State's extended Florida campus. The Buckeyes are actually in Miami at the moment. You've probably, if you follow the guys on Instagram, you've already seen photos everyone's taken of Miami Beach. And the Buckeyes are ending the week down there, practicing at the Miami Heat's facility for a couple of days to cap the summer workouts. I'm excited to, when they get back and when things ramp back up, talk to Jake Diebler and get some insight on this. Seems like a calculated decision to end the summer this way. Maybe a team building thing, take everybody on the road. I know coaches always talk about how important that stuff is. Get away from your home base, break up the monotony and all that. So be interested to learn more about this trip when the Buckeyes get back to campus. But again, everybody, all 14 players are with the team. Obviously, everybody's not fully available. We talked about Grujic. Colin White's making progress. I don't know that he's full go yet. And Josh Ojimuna still not, to my knowledge, practicing. But that's where the team is right now as we inch closer here to the end of August. We did talk about the schedule last week, and that was a big 24 hours of getting the non-conference schedule, writing about who they're playing, doing some analyzing of it, and trying to decide what I make of it. Having the open records request for that or for the non-conference games fulfilled, and then writing about that, podcasting about it. Boy, we hit that on all cylinders. We covered every possible base with the schedule. So then the next question becomes, well, when's the Big Ten schedule coming out? When will we have a full schedule of games for the Buckeyes this season? And so I went back and looked, and Ohio State last season, we got the full Big Ten conference schedule on September 19th. So we still might have a month. So we'll figure it out when we get there. I am curious to see if they end up adding a Big Ten game at the end of December, given that the Buckeyes play Grambling. Is it Grambling? They play on December 23rd, and there's not another game on the schedule. The other non-conference game is obviously the Virginia game in Nashville on February 14th. So I'm wondering if there's going to be a Big Ten game at the very end of December, since Ohio State will obviously be fitting a non-conference game into its conference schedule. Maybe that means they shift a game forward. We'll see on that, but I'm not expecting us to get a copy of the schedule for a couple more weeks at this point. So now I want to talk about John Mobley, and I want to talk about Marcus Johnson. But first, I want to remind you, as always, you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you enjoy your favorite podcasts. If you subscribe, you'll automatically get the newest ones just as soon as our man Patrick Flaherty, the Podfather, can grab them and publish them for you. While you're subscribing or downloading, please leave a review. Please click 5 stars. Please consider telling a friend. And thanks to everyone who's taken the time to do all those things. We greatly appreciate it. And it's going to start ramping up here pretty quickly. So let's go. Season's not too far off. So I want to talk about John Mobley Jr. first, because he's obviously a player on the current team. And the story that I wrote about him this week, I think has more immediate impact has more immediate impact on this year for Ohio State. So John Mobley Jr. was one of 12 college basketball players invited to the Chris Paul Elite Guard Camp. This took place in Las Vegas at the end of July, finished on August 1st. Here's a list of guards who were invited. Matt Abel from NC State, Elliot Cadeau from Michigan, some guy named Braden Smith from Purdue, maybe you've heard of him, Joshua Hubbard from Mississippi State, Robert Wright III from Brigham Young, also known as BYU. I don't know why I said Brigham Young. Donovan Dent from UCLA, Kingston Flemings from Houston, PJ Haggerty from Kansas State, Labaran Philon from Alabama, Anthony Robinson II from Missouri, Bennett Sturts from Iowa, Malik Thomas from Arkansas, and then Solomon Ball and Silas Damari Jr. from UConn. So that's a list of guards all selected for this Chris Paul camp. And when I asked Mobley about this, were you surprised? What do you think? And he said, this wasn't the stuff I got invited to in high school. So he said he was surprised. He said he was actually at a Pilates class when he had missed a couple of phone calls, and he went out in the car and got a call from Diebler and found out that he had been invited. And certainly he was very excited about it and the opportunity that it would present and what it also could mean about how his role is growing. So this is ostensibly a point guard camp, and we know that Bruce Thornton is Ohio State's point guard, but it would make Ohio State better if both guys are fully capable of running the point and playing the other guy off the ball. We've seen, Bruce Thornton's shooting has just grown exponentially each year. Obviously, we know what Mobley can do. Having both of these guys able to run the point consistently sort of makes me think of what we thought last year was going to be with Meechie Johnson. And obviously that went the way that it did. But this was the strongest indication yet, really, that they do really believe that he can run the point, handle the point, and be a point guard for this Ohio State team. And one of the things I thought this was interesting, and I got at this in the story. I didn't feel like I maybe did the full transparency here. Please go read the story. I don't feel like I fully hit on this one specific point as hard as I wanted to, which was that in talking with Mobley about this, he mentioned we were talking about the moving off the ball and cutting better, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But all those parts of the game and his defense. And I said, did you feel like the camp kind of validated that stuff you've been working on throughout the summer? And he said, so then he brought this up. I didn't ask about strength and things like that, but he said, it also validated the work I've been putting in the weight room too. He said, being able to not get pushed around, but do the pushing. He said, that's really big too. I said, yeah, how different does that feel compared to last year? Because he came in pretty strong. We saw it. His workout routine is significant. It's been well documented, the effort and the work that he puts in. He did play at 2 high level prep academies in high school, so he wasn't reporting to Ohio State needing to learn like what a weight room is. Like he was ahead of most freshmen, I would say, especially given his size. And he said that this year, like I said, what does it feel like compared to a year ago with some more strength, with some more size to you? He said it feels a lot easier just being able to get to your spots early, being able to come off your spots, flow. It's a lot easier, and it's definitely important. And now that leads me to like the next thing that I think is really important and worth mentioning here, which is I've talked about it on the podcast multiple times this summer. It's been one of the most interesting conversation topics to me over the course of the summer, which is that the offense has to flow better. And for this offense to flow better, they are really putting an emphasis on certainly better ball movement, better cutting, better off-ball movement, and higher basketball IQs. And the belief that this team is significantly better than its predecessors in essentially all of those categories. So I asked him, like, was that like, we talked about like that focus on cutting, moving without the ball, and things like that. And he said, quote, "That's one thing I really took away from that camp, really being able to know when to cut. I know how to move without the ball on the perimeter, but being able to know when to cut, I feel like that was big." And I said, how does that fit in with like this overall theme of like higher basketball IQ? And he said, "I feel like it fits perfect." He said, "Growing up, I was focused on just making the right play. I feel like no matter what, that'll always happen. That's what everyone else's mindset is." He said, "I'm playing with guys who have that kind of mindset. It makes everything flow better. It makes everything easy." So I just thought there were some little revealing insights into how this summer has gone, not just for Mobley, but for the Buckeyes as a team. And that's on top of, I'm asking you, like, what was the camp like? I don't want to spoil the entire story here on the podcast, but certainly the camp experience, it sounds like, was a positive one. He hit some big shots. I got, that little glimmer too in just the conversation with him of like, how many guys on this team do we know, like, hey, give me the ball in a big situation? Like for lack of a better phrase, they've got that dog in them. Like I can't think of a better way to describe that. And I think it's pretty clear that Mobley is that kind of player. He has that kind of attitude. What that looks like this season, and does he have a few more guys who can do that and can help him? It's going to be big for Ohio State. But I'd encourage you, please go read that story. It's at dispatch.com. Went up on Tuesday right around noon. So we're going to wrap up on Mobley there. We're going to get to Marcus Johnson now. Let's look ahead a year. So Marcus Johnson, verbal commitment for Ohio State in 2026, 4-star point guard, top 30-ish recruit in the 24/7 sports rankings. I forget his exact ranking. I have way too many tabs open on my computer right now to fire up another one. But there's been a lot of talk about him during this summer and where he might play his senior year of or high school basketball, because what we are seeing is a growing trend year by year of Ohio's, if not elite, like above average basketball players. If they can find an opportunity to go play somewhere else, by and large, they're going to go do it. That's what we're seeing over and over again. And this isn't in any way a criticism of any player putting themselves in the best position to try to maximize their abilities and to best prepare themselves for college. Like, this is not a criticism of them in any way, shape, or form. But what we are seeing is Ohio cannot keep elite prep talent in the state. And I have like this list here that I've been working on where, it doesn't just start with Alonzo Gaffney in 2019 going from Garfield Heights to Brewster Academy. But like, COVID happened, a couple years there get weird. But like starting here these last couple of years, we got Zeb Jackson went from Maumee Valley to Montverde. Rayvon Griffith went from Taft to Compass Prep 2023. Chris Livingston, Akron Buchtel to Warren Western Reserve, and then to Oak Hill. Amir Ali, Columbus native, Montverde Canyon International Academy. Jaden Quaintance, Cleveland native, Hillcrest Prep, Word of God. 2024 still. Tyler McKinley, Winton Woods, transferred to Link Academy. Mobley went from Reynoldsburg. He played at Bishop Gorman and then Wasatch Academy. Nico Bundalo, Western Reserve, ended up at Prolific Prep. Jerry Easter II, Emmanuel Christian, goes to La Lumiere. Cruz McClure from Westerville South ends up going to Delafield DME Academy in Wisconsin. Darren Peterson, Ohio kid, Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy, ends up Huntington Prep, Prolific Prep. King Kendrick from Northland goes to Greensboro Caldwell Academy in North Carolina. Cam Mercer, Winton Woods to Huntington Prep. Now he's at Overtime Elite. Nate Miles from Emmanuel Christian to Huntington Prep. Jeffrey Reynolds from Olentangy Liberty to the Spire Academy. And that is in Ohio, but like it's not an OHSAA schedule. Recently here, TJ Crumble going from Lutheran East to Long Island Lutheran. Alex Smith going from Upper Arlington to Prolific Prep, Ohio State commitment for 2026. So we have a growing and substantial track record here of highly rated or above average rated Ohioans leaving the state to go play high school basketball. And I mean, as a state, and as basketball fans, we're lesser for it. And I think it's worth at some point examining the reasons why this is happening and what Ohio needs to do or what Ohio's not doing in order to keep its best basketball talent in the state. But either way, it's not happening. So there was certainly speculation this summer about what is Marcus Johnson going to do? Where's he going to play? And there were some posts throughout that, you know, he was checking out this prep school or that prep school. And honestly, it just sort of seemed like that's where this was headed. You know, Ohio Mr. Basketball as a junior, made the state semis, got hurt in that game. They lost by a point. You know, there was a lot that went into that junior year, probably going to go somewhere else as a senior. So got in touch with his dad, Sonny Johnson, and talked to the two of them, and they're staying. He's going to play Garfield Heights for his senior season. He's going to be a 4-year player there. He's going to play one more year there for his dad. Sonny's obviously the coach. And I don't know that, like, this is a big deal to me, because one of the things that Sonny said to me that really stuck out was, I said, like, you know, how do you make sure that, you know, this is putting him in the best position? Like how do you make sure that this is going to make sure that he ends up as best prepared as he can for college? And he said, you know, obviously they're going to do a lot. They're going to lean on, you know, the Ohio State staff and, you know, all the stuff they can get from them as far as like when they should be working out and how they should structure things and all. Like, there's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff. But also he pointed out to me that, you know, it's clear that it's been working. He said, you look at it and he has put himself into this position by being here. So why can't that continue? And I thought that was an interesting point. I hadn't really considered it that way. He also did bring up how Ohio State's last two pros, and these are pros that they signed out of high school, because obviously Jamison Battle is with Toronto, but you know, transferred in. But the last two pros Ohio State had, first round picks, Malachi Branham, Bryce Sensabaugh. He said they didn't go to prep schools. He said they were at their high schools. And actually, you know, EJ Liddell as well, because EJ got drafted that same draft there as Malachi Branham. Those guys didn't play for a prep school somewhere. They played for their high schools. So this was just a very interesting decision, because like, we're going to get to see Marcus Johnson as a senior. He's going to have a chance to go back to back as Ohio Mr. Basketball. You know, there's only been a handful of those. I think he could be the 7th. At any rate, there's not been a whole lot of back-to-back Ohio Mr. Basketballs. He's got a shot to do that. He's got a shot to lead Garfield Heights to a state championship, another year playing with his dad. In 3 years, they're 72-9 with them playing together. He is the number 27 player in the class, according to 24/7 Sports. And then adding to like what I was saying earlier, he will now be the highest rated player to play all 4 years of high school basketball with a school affiliated with the OHSAA since Darius Baisley. Played his first 2 years, Springfield Township, Finneytown, and then his final 2 at Princeton. And he was the number 23 prospect in the 2018 class. So that's how rare this is and how rare this is becoming. Everybody remember Darius Baisley? Committing him. I'll never forget the story talking to him and Justin Arns, because the two of them were really close and they committed together while on their same visit. They basically like went into Mata's office and like held like a fake like ESPN news press conference and committed to him. And then obviously Darius decommitted during that weird spring of Ohio State not being selected for the NIT. Everything goes quiet. And then suddenly the season is over, or not suddenly the season over, but suddenly Thad Mata's tenure is over. And in between there, Darius Baisley decommitted and told me that he didn't think Ohio State could get him ready for the NBA. And that did not Well, that riled up the fan base, certainly. If you think back to that time, that was a big story. And so anyway, Darius Bazley, last one to be this highly rated to stick around for this many years in Ohio. When I asked them, like, how did you come to this decision? They talked a lot about their faith and putting it in God's hands. And like Marcus told me, quote, "It wasn't my decision, it was God's decision." He said, "I just prayed that God would give me the signs where I should be, that wherever I go, I'll be successful at." He said, "I feel like the signs were to stay home." He said, I believe I'll be successful next year." So as a junior, 29.7 points, 5.7 boards, 4.7 assists, and 2.2 steals for Marcus Johnson. Now, he did fall rather significantly in the Rivals /On3 recruiting rankings, dropped like 50 spots in their updated 2026 rankings. He has not dropped anywhere else. And I think that shows like the subjectivity of the recruiting rankings. I think it shows you that like there were some people very divided on sort of his overall game. And I don't get the impression that it was the strongest AAU season for his team. And I think that probably knocked him down a couple of notches, maybe in the eyes of some. But he is still, like I said, at 24/7 and at ESPN, he's top 30 recruit in 2026, and he's staying in Ohio. He's going to have a chance to have an all-time type of career, an all-time type of season. I asked his dad about senior year expectations, and he said, "I think his main thing is winning a state championship. I think he has a chip on his shoulder for being one of the greats to win 2 Mr. Basketballs. If he does that, he puts himself on the list as one of the greatest to play in the state of Ohio." And he's not wrong about that either. Like, I'm going to pull this up here because I do have a file. At the risk of overloading my computer, I have the file here of all of the Ohio Mr. Basketball winners. And I guess I meant to put this in my story and I forgot, but here's the guys who have won it more than once. Jim Jackson, 88 and 89 at Toledo Macomber, from there, and I still struggle with saying the name of that school. Greg Simpson, Lima Senior, 91 and 92. Some guy named LeBron James, 01, 02, and 03, Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. OJ Mayo, 05 and 06 at Cincinnati North College Hill. Jared Sullinger, 09 and 10 at Northland. Luke Kennard, 2014, 2015 from Franklin. And now Marcus Johnson will have a chance to add his name to that list. When I did ask like what the summer was like what he thought of his son's play and his game, Sonny said he's a lot better than in the spring. He's stronger, more explosive, quicker, has more of an edge to win. Measuring it in at like 6'2", 175. The other thing that's probably worth noting here is that there were these prep school opportunities would come with NIL opportunities. And as we know, Ohio high school basketball players are not allowed to make money off their name, image, and likeness rights in the state. That is not approved for high school players within the state of Ohio. And so in choosing to stay, the family's also turning down money. Like, I don't know how much. I would wager it's in the 6 figures, but he will be back. He'll be in Ohio going for a state championship as a senior. And that to me is just something like I'm glad. Like, we're going to get to see him and we're going to get to like know his game better. And we're going to get to watch him continue to grow and develop and see him chase a dream. Like, it's cool when those things happen at any level, but much less when someone stays and that's no longer the norm. So I really wanted to bring that up and talk about that on here. Because it just felt like that was a pretty big deal. And you can go read. I don't want to, again, read the entire story to you on the podcast. So I'd encourage you, please go read it at dispatch.com. That went up on, is that Monday morning? The days, they blur together. But I feel like that's a good place to wrap this one. Oh, wait. Nope. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about. So Marcus will be visiting Ohio State later this month. He will be on campus the weekend of August 30th for the Ohio State-Texas game. We got a couple of visits here that have been lined up so far. I'm going to run down these real quick. So that weekend, he'll be on campus. Anthony Thompson, Josh Tyson, and then DeMarcus Henry, a 2027 recruit, will be there on an unofficial visit. The weekend, September 26th, 27th, Luca Foster and Jalen Collingwood, both in the 2026 class, will be visiting. October 2nd, Jason Singleton scheduled to visit. And then October 10th, Joe Philon, also in 2026, scheduled to visit. So that's that's the recruiting visit calendar as we know it at this point. Stay tuned. That will certainly grow as we get closer and closer to the start of everything. So now I'm going to wrap this one up. As always, you can send along your questions, your comments, your love notes, your hate mail, and otherwise constructive criticism to me at Adam Jardy on Twitter or ajardydispatch.com. Thanks again for listening. Thanks to Patrick Flaherty, the Podfather, for putting this together and having to edit out in the middle when I had to let the dogs out. We're dog sitting this week, so we got 2 really cute puppies at the house, but they needed to go outside in the middle of the podcast. So thank you for fitting that or editing that out, not making everybody listen to me get up and walk away. I'll be back with you soon. Probably won't do another one this week. But again, if you're subscribed, it'll just pop in your feed whenever. So till we speak again, be kind, take care, and we'll talk soon.
Be sure and subscribe to the Buckeye Extra podcast in the iTunes Store, the Google Play Store, or on Stitcher.